to Dr. Umar on October the 30th of 2010 at the National Black Theater. I did my first lecture there in New York City, and in 48 hours, I was a household name. So thank you, New York City. We are here today on serious business, the business of supporting, of defending, and of standing with our brothers of the Sahel Alliance. We stand with Captain Ibrahim Traore. We stand with General Goita. We stand with General Chiani. We stand with all independent African countries. 2 weeks ago, I was at the Oxford Union. I received an invitation to debate the father of Elon Musk, Elon Musk. And the topic of the debate was, does Africa still need her colonizers? That was the question. And I find it interesting that people believe Africa cannot govern herself when Africa was governing herself when Europeans were still crawling around inside the caves. So if we could govern ourselves before the white man came to Africa, why can't we govern ourselves after the white man left Africa? The truth of the matter, it's not that Africa needs Europe. Africa doesn't need France. Africa doesn't need the United States. Africa doesn't need Belgium. Africa doesn't need England. Africa needs the freedom to implement an African program. It is outside interference. It is outside interference. It is outside interference that keeps Africa from being the great and mighty continent it is. If we're allowed to carry out their own agenda, we won't have a problem of 340 million Africans starving. We won't have a problem of food insecurity. Help me understand how Africans can be starving in Africa when Africa has enough agricultural land to feed the entire world, brothers and sisters. Africa can feed the entire world. So if Africa can feed the entire world, why do we have starvation on the African continent? I'll tell you why. Here in the United States, we have two parasite organizations. And when you go home tonight, Dr. Umar is giving you a homework assignment. I want you to look up the World Bank, and I want you to look up the International Monetary Fund, the IMF and the WB. Both of these institutions are headquartered in Washington, D.C. These institutions, their job is to go into Africa and sell false promises with high interest loans, and they bankrupt and sabotage the economies of independent African countries. And the weapon, as Thomas Sankara, that great son of Africa, said, the weapon, as Thomas Sankara said in 1987, the weapon is debt. They use debt as a rope they put around the necks of African heads of state to force them to do what America wants them to do, to force them to do what Britain and France and Holland wants them to do. The reason Africa must stop accepting loans from white parasite countries, the reason I'm so proud of Captain Ibrahim Traore and his decision to stop taking loans and handouts from the West is these loans come with 3 requirements, brothers and sisters. I need you to understand this, because when you say why Africa been free for 60 and 70 years and still backwards, you need to know why. It's not because of the leadership. It's not because of the people. It's because of the constant invasion and meddling of the white man. First of all, when you take loans from the World Bank and the IMF, they charge extremely high interest rates. You can never pay back the loans that they give you. The loans that they give to Africa are designed to impoverish Africa. This is why the more money Africa gets, the poorer Africa becomes. First of all, why are the people in the richest continent on earth in need of handouts from other countries? Ask yourself that. The richest continent on earth is depending on handouts from countries that don't even have a quarter of its mineral value. France has 2,400 tons of gold. I repeat, France has 2,400 tons of gold, but France doesn't have a single gold mine. So how, brothers and sisters, how can France have 2,400 tons of gold and France doesn't have a single gold mine? Because you stole it from Africa. You stole it from Africa. We don't want no loans. We don't want no handouts. We want our wealth back and we want you out. I said we want our wealth back and we want you out. We want our wealth back and we want you out. We want our wealth back and we want you out. We want our wealth back and we want you out. We want our wealth back and we want you out. Make some noise, brothers and sisters. I love the fact that Captain Ibrahim Traore is only 37 years old.
Yes.
He's right around that age with Dr. King and Malcolm and Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba and Amilcar Cabral and Robert Sobukwe and Dedan Kimathi. He's right around that age and when they reach the apex. And we have to understand something, that it will be the youth that leads us. It will be the elders who teach us, but it will be the youth that lead us. I don't know where I was. I think I was in Manchester, England, when I saw the White House conversation between President Trump and President Ramaphosa of South Africa. And I was so disgusted by the manner in which Donald Trump made accusations against our South African brothers and sisters of appropriating land from the parasitic colonizers. Now, Donald Trump and white power in general, whenever they accuse African people of war crime, they never give evidence, but more importantly, brothers and sisters, they never put our behavior in historical context. You cannot explain anything in Africa. You can't explain anything in the African diaspora unless you put it in historical context. And I'm disappointed in President Ramaphosa because he did not take the opportunity to clarify the historical narrative over the land controversy in South Africa. You came there hundreds of years ago and you stole the land, you murdered for the land, you killed for that land. And just because you have something for a long time does not make it yours. If you steal my home 100 years ago, I got a right to take it back now. It is still my home. And we, as African people, have to stop making the mistake of letting non-Africans think that Africa is their home. Nobody else makes you feel like their home is yours. When we are in China, we're treated like dogs. When we are in Europe, we're treated like dogs. Wherever we go in the world, we're treated like dogs. In Paris, like dogs. In Belgium, like dogs. Here in America, like dogs. And we got the audacity in the only continent where we dominate to tell white people, although you came here by stealing, to tell white people, although you came here through manipulation, to tell white people, although you took Africa through genocide, I'm going to forget how you took it, and I'm going to treat you like my brother. Brothers and sisters, hear me well. As a representative of the global Pan-Africanist freedom struggle, I say this unequivocally and without apology. Anybody in Africa who is not a black African, anybody in Africa who is not a black African is an invader, a colonizer, or an opportunist. Stop telling these people they African. You're not African because you in Africa, no more than I'm French because I'm in France, no more than I'm British because I'm in England. Africa is the land of the blacks. That is ours. It don't belong to nobody else, brothers and sisters. I saw the outgoing commander of AFRICOM, Supreme Coon, General Michael Langley, make a tongue-in-cheek threat against Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He said, dishonestly, he lied when he said Captain Ibrahim Traoré is using the resources of Burkina Faso to benefit himself and not his people. Well, just like Thomas Sankara, the brother wears the same kind of uniform every day, just like Thomas Sankara. He lives and walks with the everyday people of Burkina Faso, land of the upright people, just like Thomas Sankara. He's a freedom fighter and a grassroots organizer. He's not an opportunist. And President Trump, General Michael Langley, how dare you act like you care about African people? If you cared about African people, why don't you cancel the debt of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund? If you care about African people, why are 25% of African children on the continent forcibly engaged in child labor? Why do we have millions of African children dying and risking their lives for white corporations so they can run off with the uranium, so they can run off with the cobalt, so they can run off with the lithium, so they can run off with the coltan? If you care about Africa, why don't you get your white parasitic corporations out of Africa? Elon Musk, you claim that you believe in democracy. Well, Elon Musk, like I told your father 2 weeks ago, if you care about democracy, why are children dying in the Congo so you can have resources for your Tesla rechargeable automobiles if you care about democracy? Why are children in Africa mining lithium in the Congo, cobalt in the Congo, coltan in the Congo for Apple computers, for Microsoft, for Tesla, and Bill Gates? You care so much about black health that you're trying to force the African Union to stop African farmers from growing food with indigenous organic seed that they've been using in their family for tens of thousands of years. Bill Gates is trying to force Africa, not some countries, but all the countries, to start growing food with genetically modified organisms, brothers and sisters. This is why Bill Gates has become the #1 owner of arable land in the United States of America since COVID. Let me say that again. In 5 years, since the COVID outbreak, Bill Gates has become the #1 owner of arable land in the United States. You think that's a coincidence? He's growing that food. They're going to poison that food. and they want to send that food to Africa. They want to use food as a weapon against African people. And why? By 2050, Africa will be home to more than 25% of the entire earth. Africans are already the largest population in the world. We don't know it because many of us don't want to be black no more. We want to be something other than African. Well, guess what? I'm not going to force you to be African. If you don't like your black skin, if you don't like your black nose, if you don't like your hips, your black eyes, your black hair, then the hell with you. Those of us who proud to be African, we're going to keep on pushing. We don't want to bleach our skin. We don't want to wear the white woman's hair. We don't want to marry the white man's daughter. We don't want nothing Europe got because Africa got plenty, and everybody knows that nobody can run this world without Africa's resources. If Africa had control over its own resources, she wouldn't be in this situation. Barack Obama was made president of the United States for the express purpose of going into Africa and building AFRICOM bases all over sub-Saharan Africa. And guess what, brothers and sisters? Since Barack Obama popularized AFRICOM in Africa, there have been over 18 coups in the past year and a half. And of the 18 coup attempts in the past year and a half, 90% of them were in countries where there was an AFRICOM base. The CIA is training the opposition to democratically elected Pan-Africanist leaders, and the CIA is financing the overthrow of black leaders who does not dance to the tune of America. Listen. When you allow a foreign military in your country, you're giving up security sovereignty. African countries who are letting American soldiers in, British soldiers in, French soldiers in, Portuguese soldiers in, Dutch soldiers in, you are giving up your security sovereignty, and you are allowing the enemies of Africa to recruit your soldiers and use them to undermine the political infrastructure and the economic system of your country. We want white men military out of Africa. Africa can secure herself. She don't need AFRICOM in Africa. Brothers and sisters, a minute ago I told you that the first handicap of taking money from the white man is the debt that accrues to African countries. The second handicap of taking debt from the white man is you don't even get to choose how you're going to spend that money. I want y'all to listen to me. African countries do not choose how they spend the loans that they get from the World Bank and the IMF. They tell you who to spend the money with. They tell you what corporation's going to come and do the work. They tell you who you can't spend the money with. And check this out, brothers and sisters. Most of the time, the loan money that Africa gets, it never even goes to Africa. It gets sent to the corporations that the white power structure chooses to come into your country and build your hospital, build your roads, clean your water, build your schools. They're not even allowed to use the money how they want to use it. The white man gives the money to white corporations from America and Europe, and they go into Africa, getting paid by their government, and you got to pay the bill. Look at that. Look at that. And the third handicap of taking money from the white man is that he forces you to operate an open market economy in Africa. You know what that means? If I'm in Senegal and we have our own salt, I don't want nobody coming into Senegal to sell no salt because we got our own. So we're going to nationalize salt in Senegal. If I'm in Ghana and we got cacao, I'm going to nationalize cacao, and I don't want no country bringing cacao into my country. If I'm Benin and we got palm oil, I'm going to nationalize the palm oil, and I don't want no outside companies selling palm oil. So I can do what? Build my economy and provide jobs to my people. But the white man says you can't do that.
Yep.
The white man says you can't nationalize. The white man says you cannot protect your indigenous economy. You want to know why African countries that have their own salt is importing salt? You want to know why African countries who have their own poultry are importing chickens? You know why African countries that have their own iron are importing iron ore? It's because the white man sabotages the natural markets of that country, so Africa can always be dependent on the white man. Right now, Sub-Saharan Africa owes the white man over $42 billion. $42 billion. Somebody help me understand how you enslaved my people, robbed my resources for over a century, and I owe you $42 billion. We need the African Union to unite and to organize. And we need the African Union to tell the white man in one voice, all 54, all 55 countries, in one voice, tell the white man, we will not pay and you cannot stay. Say it with me. We will not pay and you cannot stay. We will not pay, you cannot stay. We will not pay, you cannot stay. As I begin to wrap up, the Right Excellent, Most Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the greatest Pan-Africanist of all time, the father of modern Pan-Africanism, who walked the streets of Harlem, New York, 100 years ago. Marcus Garvey's vision was not an organization of African unity. His vision was not an African union. The vision of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and the vision of one of his greatest students, Osajafo, Dr. Kwame